Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Logan. How are you today, Logan?
Heartbroken, but we move forward. We move forward, Jordan. Sports are sports. I hate sports, but I love them.
Yeah, bummed
How are
out
you?
that Miami didn't win the group, right? That's what you're referring
Honestly, yeah. You know, big Miami guys. I'm sitting in front of Interco.
to.
Yeah.
It's named after them. So,
Well, yeah. That might as well be their home. So, you know what? It's funny, Jordan. I was actually looking at tickets to see Messi. They're not too bad in Orlando. Like they're not too bad. So I don't know. It's like tempting, do
yeah,
you want to go see the best player that's ever played? I mean, I might even just go as press, like, at that point. I haven't been there all season, but
yeah, there you go. Yeah, we've got some probably a lighter episode today. We got some Club World Cup and some Gold Cup stuff since MLS is on pause, and we'll figure we'd kind of dive into these results here that have happened, as the experience is over for every MLS team except for one in the Club World Cup. So we don't have to spend too much time on Seattle getting 0 points out of their 3 games, or LA currently having 0 points after 2. They'll be playing later tonight from when we're recording this, 9 o'clock against Flamengo. I don't expect to get LAFC to get a point or any really. The Brazilian teams, the South American teams, have been very good in this tournament. They've even beat some of the some of the big boys when we're looking at the rest of the teams in the competition. For a while, they were all undefeated. I think the Brazilian teams might still be, but and then over in the Gold Cup too, USA. We talked about them beating Trinidad and Tobago last week, 5-0. Then they played 2 games. They beat Saudi Arabia on Thursday, 1-0 off of Chris Richards getting a goal, and then he beat Haiti 2-1 on Sunday, with Malik Tillman and Ajamang scoring to make it a 2-1 victory and get a perfect 9 points for the USA. I guess let's start with the Gold Cup and the USA stuff, because I feel like that might take up a little bit more of the bulk of the show, I guess. But USA has only conceded 1 goal, and it was off of a really bad giveaway by Matt Freese here. Really bad miscommunication, whatever was going on there. But Logan, do you feel like we've learned anything with these 3 wins? Because we were coming in at an all-time low, and when you look at the group we're in, I feel like we haven't really learned anything about this team, except for maybe goalkeeper is still a position we're worried about, and goal scorers probably still a position we're worried about, right? Like, I don't know what else to take from this first 3 games here, because last week I kind of said I expect 7 or 9 points now after we beat Trinidad and Tobago. We got 9, and now we move on to the next round on Sunday. But it's like, is there anything to really learn here for this squad?
uh, yeah, this is I think this is the toughest part of right now. And really, Jordan, not really a position I don't think we really wanted to be in. Um, the the more I see players play in the FIFA Club World Cup, Jordan, the more frustrated I get with the guys that aren't in camp. You've got guys that have been playing for Chelsea for all the way up till um, almost the final day, and then you've got City players, Inter players, PSG guys who played in June. Um, they're all still playing. Where are our guys? Well, somewhere on a beach. Um, I just this is difficult because you want to get behind this U.S. men's national team, right? 9 points, and you've got some really exciting young players. I mean, you look at Quinn Sullivan, Malik Tillman, Ajaman, um, Tolkien, Freeman. I mean, really good young players. I think they are below the players in their positions, respectfully so. But I would not say that necessarily these players' positions are a lock. I think that it's going to get real interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of drama I think that there's going to be some choices that are made that are going to piss off fans. Mostly because there'll be guys that are playing and it's like, what happened to Freeman? Why isn't Freeman playing? Why isn't, you know, Quinn Sullivan playing? Why isn't Brendan Aronson playing? Like, I think we're going to get into this really kind of muddy situation of when guys aren't performing now that they've seen this group go 9 straight points through the Gold Cup and although their group's not been as good. It's just Jordan's team. I don't know if you felt this way, and I get that their group's not as strong, but I feel like this team plays harder than our normal group. And I know that that probably is just because of who they are, the profile they are, and they're trying to fight for spots for the World Cup roster. But I just feel like they have been more fun to watch than our normal group.
I'll lay it out like this, okay? To answer my own question is I don't know. And to answer your question, I don't know. Like it
Yeah.
feels like they've done what they should have done, even if it was the B squad. And the real test is Costa Rica on Sunday, the 29th. They're going to be playing Costa Rica in the knockout stages. Costa Rica got 7 points from their group, a draw with Mexico, which is a good result, and then they beat the two teams they should have beat in their group. So, like, I can't even tell you what I should know about Costa Rica because I feel like they're kind of a bogey team for us sometimes, and other times we handle them, especially here on our soil. But I don't know. Like, I can't even tell you if I think they're playing harder because I really don't think the competition that they had to face in this group is up to par to be able to even judge it. And this is kind of the issue with the Gold Cup as it is, and why players like Pulisic and Musa and other players are saying we'll sit this one out because really we just won 9 points with a team that most people are saying didn't have our best player. People were upset Ajaman was playing. I saw that all over Twitter. And then he scores, right? And then, so it's almost like I wish we could just go B team in the group, win the group, and then bring the A team in and get see how they do against the real competition, against Costa Rica, against Mexico, against these teams that we have to, face, because that is the question in all of this for me is, yes, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, right? But this, they didn't really look. They were actually probably our toughest game in this whole tournament so far because if it wasn't for that Chris Richard goal, which was almost called back, right? They looked at it, they gave it, but if that's called offside, we finish with 7 points, not 9, right? So if the rest of the game goes the same way, then you can say, well, everything would have changed. But anyway, the point being, they were our toughest chance, our toughest opponent. We beat them. The other two opponents, we handled them, and we're through. We win the group, and it was kind of unconvincingly. Like I said, the Chris Richard goal that could have got pulled back, and then you also have the fact that it took a late goal in our last game here to make us win 2-1. We had the lead, we gave up the lead, and then had to score like in the 80-something minute through Ajaman to make it a 2-1 victory. It doesn't feel like 9 points, I would say. But again, it's like, how harsh can I be against it? Because this is not the team I'm expecting at the World Cup. So it kind of sits in and this is part of the issue doing the Gold Cup every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Players are probably more likely to skip it because it's not as prestigious. I think if you did lower it to every 4, it would have a little bit more prestige. Not like Euros or World Cups or anything, but the fact is, our players can play in this every 2 years because we automatically qualify. There's never a chance that we're not going to qualify for the Gold Cup. It's not like when a team like England or Italy or Germany or Portugal misses the Euros on the one weird occasion where then they have to have pressure on the team. This team always makes it, and that's probably part of the reason why the players say, I'll skip it this time. We're always in the Gold Cup, whatever. And so to answer in a long story short, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team. Um, the goal scoring really scares me. The first game was great, but we've seen our team do that against Trinidad in the past. We've seen like Jesus Ferrer score like 3 goals against teams like this, and then not score against the competition that is later in the tournament or the tougher competition that we would have in a friendly. So I sit here and look at how bad we performed in the friendlies, ahead of time, and I have to weigh that with how I'm seeing us do against subpar competition right now. I'm worried about this Costa Rica game. I am, because I feel like the goalkeeper Logan was such a locked position for most of our lives, right? It was Brad Friedel, it was Tim Howard, like Brad Guzan, like these people were on fire. Matt Turner in the 2022 World Cup was great. He's on the outs right now. Matt Freese comes in and I would say has been good, but hasn't been convincing. That weird pass that he tries to make that gets intercepted for the goal that happened for Haiti this week. I literally I was kind of disgusted, not like because of Freese, but it's kind of disgusted. Like, this used to never happen with our goalkeepers. What is going on in the world? Uh, so now that's a concern. When we felt like we were, even when Turner and Stefan were kind of battling out, we're like, hey, we're still like picking out of 2 very good options here. But now it seems like things are really tossed up with the goalkeeper position, and then the goal scoring uh, hasn't really been what it should be. I mean, Malik Tillman's been doing great as a goal scorer, and he had a goal called back as well this week. But it it's worrying. I don't know. I know you're maybe a little bit more optimistic about this team and how grit and stuff they've been playing. But what are your vibes going into this weekend when we have to play Costa Rica, who I think is a legitimate threat in this competition? And I don't know, like, thoughts on the goalkeeper, thoughts on the strikers, like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you make a good point. I'm talking about just the fact that this team, um, there are with the talent in the first team, Jordan, we often see it underperform. With the talent on this team that is not seen as a very good team or a strong side, I think that they've risen above some of the occasion. And I think that if you look at the way that they've played in some of these games, it's been a little bit different, and we've struggled with goal scoring in the past, and we continue to struggle with goal scoring. And I think that that will be something that doesn't ever really shake loose until we get new players in. I think there are certain players that have come to the forefront of the conversation of guys that I think can make an impact. Right. I think if you look at this team, I mean, you can legitimately see talent in Quinn Sullivan, Alex Freeman, Malik Tillman, Sebastian Berhalter played really well. Um, but again, I think you can take some of that and use it with the first team, and I think there's a lot of positive there. And with the way that this team is constructed, Jordan, I feel they are a weaker team than Costa Rica, but I wouldn't say that they are a like that Costa Rica is going to come in and dominate the game. I think that depending on how the U.S. men's national team with this current roster performs, we could be talking next week about, wow, they performed really well against a really good team. Um, where we've seen our A team lose to Costa Rica. So it's tough. But like you said, if I'm looking how does this shape 2026? I don't want to be doom and gloom, but Jordan, this US men's national team is more of a wreck than it was in 2022. And I don't see how that would have been possible. Jordan, if you would have told me that we had Pochettino going into 2026 World Cup with all of our guys healthy and all of our guys playing and playing at a high level, Christian Pulisic for a long time and good stretch there was getting shouts of one of the better players in Europe. So if you'd have told me that in 2022, I'd have been like, all right, like we are on our way to being something because of how well we performed in 2022 with, some things that we had to work on. But if you would have told me this, you know, back in 2022 that we'd have all these things going for us, I would have really liked our chances. But today I sit here in June, almost the beginning of July, and I have a really hard time, Jordan, believing that if we got into a tough group, that we'd make it out of the group. Like that's just how I feel with the striker position. That's how I feel with the goal peak keepers. If we got a group of death, if we got in there with two other good teams in the group stage, I would have concerns about us getting out of the group on our home soil.
Oh no, I agree with that. I mean, the other issue, right, is CONCACAF isn't. So I want to also I see a lot of people throwing stuff at U.S. Soccer for how much these tickets cost. This is a CONCACAF tournament. This is CONCACAF that sets the prices. This is CONCACAF that sets everything on this, just like with the Nations League. Um, some of these prices are ridiculous for a Gold Cup. I used to go to the Gold Cup a lot. I went like 2 or 3 times back in the day, almost like 14 years ago, and tickets were cheaper. Now, of course, that's also a different time, I guess. But when you look at the stands, I sit there and think, how how are you even making money from this tournament? When you look at stuff like the Club World Cup, I can kind of it's been having better stadiums, I think, than the Gold Cup when it comes to some of these. Look, everybody knows the U.S. didn't bring their A team, and these tickets I'm seeing on websites are like $80 a ticket, not even for close to the field. And you're like, of course nobody's spending the brand. If you have a family of 4, you're spending what, like 300 some dollars, almost $400 for tickets. Like, that's not gonna happen. Um, Especially when maybe your kid's favorite player is not playing in this tournament. Uh, and then like when you see the stadium is all empty, you're like, well, what'd you expect, CONCACAF? Like, I don't know. Like, make tickets affordable, and you will have a lot more people there. Um, I don't know. That's the kind of thing where I look at this and think, there's no, and also, like I said, this is every 2 years. There's no desire for every 2 years in the fan base. Um, in some of these games, just make it every 4 years, and maybe you'll have some USA fans that feel like splurging $80 a ticket would be worth it. Um, but yeah, just had to call that out as well. I want to bring this up too. This happened today, like an hour ago. Lyon, Olympic Lyon in France is being relegated to League Two. This is also this is the Wiegand curse again here. I bought this jersey when I went on my honeymoon years ago for Olympic Lyon, and now they're relegated due to financial issues. This was the club that Matt Turner was in talks of going to. He was nearing an $8 million transfer to Lyon from Nottingham Forest. That may not happen now. And then Tanner Tessman has been here. He had his first season there after transferring from Venezia last summer. Both of those players might be looking for a new club. Turner thought he had found it, I guess. I don't know. He can't be playing League Two and then be our starting Gold Cup, our starting World Cup goalie. He can't. Like, that's just, he's going to have to find a different club to go to in France or somewhere. Tessman, if he wants to make the World Cup, he probably cannot stay at Lyon. Like, that's how it is, right? Like, I don't know if you can be playing League Two. Like, I feel like sometimes we can give that a little bit more leeway for the championship, which I think is probably a little higher level than League Two. Like, because France is already kind of near that tail end of that Power Five. If you're looking at
Yeah.
Europe,
Yep.
I don't know if we can have 2 of our players there.
Yeah. No, I come to MLS on it. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
that would be, if you're not going to go to the championship and play in England, then I would be looking to the MLS side of things because Pochettino has, I mean, he has opened up, Jordan, the can of like, we're going to look at everybody. We're going to evaluate everyone. Um, and I know it's been done in a short time, and that's that's the federation's fault. It's not Pochettino's fault. Um, this could probably have been avoided a little bit, but I think you're right. I think when you're looking at some of our top players, they need to go to places where they fit. I mean, there's just been, I hated the Matt Turner Arsenal thing. Like, I just seems like these guys are chasing team names rather than chasing fits.
That's always been the issue, right?
Yeah,
We had Clint Dempsey go to Tottenham because
yeah,
he wanted to be Fulham, and then he wasn't playing at Tottenham, and it made him he come back to Seattle, right? Like he
right.
went to Seattle then, and then you have Pulisic going to Chelsea. Then you have all these players. Matt Miazga going to Chelsea like
Mhm.
10 years ago now, right? And I was like, he's never going to see the first team. Never did, right? Like these how I would even say Kevin Sullivan is not going to play for City. He's
No,
not.
no.
He he barely plays for the Union at his age, and he's clock's ticking until he gets his move over there already. He's going to become part of the loan army. He's going to find another club that way, and hopefully he sticks it out. But like you said, it's almost like chasing the name. I wouldn't even say it's the player a lot of times. I would say a lot of it, some of it probably is, right? They grew up watching these teams, whatever. Some of it's the agent because then they can look at if I tell you, Logan, that I got one of my clients to Chelsea, that means I can get you there too. And that means
Yeah,
you're going to sign with me as an agent instead of the agent that says, I don't know if Chelsea's your best fit, maybe Fulham. And that's how it happens, right? Like that these players the agents are making some of these pushes to probably pump up their resume as well. And like you said, Matt Turner goes to Arsenal, didn't really do great there and is now looking for a club endlessly when he was killing it at New England and playing at the highest level he had played at ever, right? I mean,
yeah.
and he was a starting goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team. So kind of a bummer. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and say I think we will beat Costa Rica this upcoming weekend, but kind of nervy to have to face a team like that so strong in the quarterfinals already. Um, so it's a little worrying because I feel like we've been playing at this level and we might have to play at this level, to win these games. Especially when you look at who's going to be moving on as well. Panama is pretty much a lock. Canada is pretty much a lock. Like, these are very good teams that are going to be, who have been playing very strong. Panama is the other team that can finish with 9 points. In this tournament right now. So we'll see. Anything else before we move on to Club World Cup real quick?
No, no. I just, it just sucks because we were so looking forward to the buildup of the World Cup, and Jordan, it's just been
Miserable experience.
yeah, it's been awful. And the other bad thing is like there's not really anything in between this, maybe some friendlies, but there's not really anything in between this and when we see these guys on the big stage. And
Well, just think
I'm
about
afraid
it.
of
Like last year at this time, we're like,
no, we were living on a high.
hey, Copa's here this
Yeah.
year, and then we've got the Gold Cup and Club World Cup next year, and then we got the World Cup, and it's been just miserable, so much so we had to fire our manager. Then there was questions going into this tournament if we should fire
Right.
our manager, and then we got our goalkeeper situation going on. Like it's been players fighting with legends. It's
Yeah.
just been a mess this year, and it has sucked a little bit of the wind out of my sails.
I'm sure we'll get hype for it. It's always an exciting time.
Oh,
I like
it's
watching
always
it. You know, we
it's
like
a World
watching
Cup.
it because it's a
Yeah.
World Cup. And it'll be
Yeah,
on
I mean,
our soil. It'll be cool.
I was excited for 2018 and we weren't even in it. Like at a certain
Me
point,
too. Yeah.
I
Me too.
will be like, hey, even if we lose all 3 group games or whatever, I'll have fun. I'll be watching other games and it'll be a fun experience. But
yeah, I agree.
But it's just like that hope of like, oh, this is when we'll show the world is kind of like, ugh. But maybe we can still show the world. Maybe we can still show the world, Logan, because Miami finished above Porto and Al Ahly in their group. They had a chance to win the group until they choked at the last 10 minutes of the game. They would have avoided PSG. That was the whole goal, right? Win your group, avoid PSG. And in the last 10 minutes, they give up 2 goals to Palmeiras. And look, when Suarez hit the second goal, I thought it was done. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, all right, I'm looking at the clock. It's 80th minute. I think we're set. And then they give up 2 goals. And I'm like, well, they still move on, but the downside is they have to face PSG. Storyline wise, pretty interesting. We get to see Messi
pretty
against
interesting.
PSG,
Jordan,
right?
Yeah. We get to see an MLS team go up against the Champions League winner.
Well, I meant like storyline wise, like Messi returning revenge against PSG.
I'm still bitter about that, by the way.
The downside of it is that they might get wiped off the map here with like a 4-0. I mean, if they can beat Inter Milan 4-0 in a Champions League final, I'm kind of scared what they can do to
poor little Miami.
But it is fun. It is fun. Like, this is what it's for, right? And this is the only club to make it out. Seattle, like I said, finished with no points. LAFC is probably going to finish with 0 points later tonight. It's just kind of how it is, I think. So the one team that actually didn't win their way into this tournament is the team that moved on. So maybe a really good pick by Infantino.
Nice job. You know what's really sketchy, Jordan? He lives in Miami. I didn't know that. Infantino lives in Miami. That's where his primary residence is. I was like, huh. So he's like,
how does that work? Like,
how does he?
How many times is he actually there? Because
right,
FIFA is based in Switzerland, neutral territory, right?
Yeah.
That's where he would have to be working every day. How often is he actually in I want to know that too. Like, how often are they actually in the FIFA offices? How often are they he could be sitting at home doing meetings through Zoom. That's no problem.
Yeah.
But
he's usually in stadiums, right? Like he's usually we see him in
at the UEFA
city
games.
Yeah. But even like city games or PSG games, I've seen him in club levels, all the Champions League game stuff he's had.
International matches.
Right. He's at UEFA matches. Like he's in these matches. Like I've seen him in MLS, right? And I know he's doing his world tour, so he's been in the US quite a bit lately. But yeah, I didn't know that. I did not know his primary residence was Miami until I saw it the other day when somebody had mentioned that it was a FIFA article that mentioned that he was at his home in Miami. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, that's where he lives. So, but yeah, Jordan, I mean, just going back to this, listen to this list. Jordan, Inter Miami has made it to a round further than Porto, Atletico Madrid, Boca Juniors. Like, that's insane to think about the teams that didn't qualify for the next round, and they're going to pass all of them and sit just a point below Manchester City, Juventus, Flamengo, Bayern.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still some, like, Monterrey can still make it through.
Right.
As a CONCACAF representative, but most likely it looks like River Plate and Inter will probably get through on that. But yeah,
I mean, Sundown might make it, man. We might might do it.
They might. They have a chance. That would be cool. I mean, they put up a fight against Dortmund. Dortmund they lost by like 1 goal to Dortmund, but like Dortmund had like I think a 3-goal lead, and then they kind of let them back in. But yeah, Atletico is out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had more fun with this than you thought? I have. Like watching some of these games, I've had more fun than I thought I would have.
I thought this would be fun as it is, but
Yeah.
the least fun part is having to remember to put on DAZN to watch these.
And it tries to get you to just subscribe to like a
Oh yeah,
year
because they have
long,
like the fan of
190.
they
Yeah.
have like the proper gold experience one
Mhm.
instead of the free one right as soon as you log in, and you're like, I am logged in, and you're like, oh no, this is asking me to pay money, and you have to go to the non-experience one, which I'd rather anyway. I don't want to see like comments and crap while I'm watching this. All right, so let's recap here. Group A is finished. Palmeiras and Inter Miami have moved on. Porto are out. They lost to Inter Miami. Al Ali are out. Group B, PSG and Botafogo are through. Atletico Madrid, even on points, but they go with head to head actually, and not goal differential. I think it was. So they're out. Seattle Sounders, 0 points. Benfica and Bayern Munich are through. Boca Juniors and Auckland City. Auckland actually got a point today, by the way. And then Group D, E, F, G, and H have not played their third games, but tonight, Flamengo, Chelsea, Tunis, and LAFC will be playing their third games. Chelsea might actually have a chance of not going through because I guess with if it's head to head, I guess maybe they would be through because I don't think that will be a problem. Then it would be up against they play Tunis tonight, so I guess
Yeah.
that could be the determining factor. But Chelsea only has 3 points. They actually had a lead against Flamengo and then got a red card, and Flamengo came back and won that game. And Flamengo will play LAFC tonight at 9:00. So that'll be their last game of the tournament. And then tomorrow we have MLS games. So I guess we should transition to well, before we do, I want to read this thing that I sent you last night as well. In case the people want to know how big this prize pot is, Miami, if this is to be believed, okay, has already earned $21.5 million in the Club World Cup. $10 million for being in it, $4 million for the win in 2 draws, and $7.5 million for making the round of 16. It is the equivalent of winning 71 MLS Cups. We talk about prize pots.
That's crazy.
That was a post from Blue Sky. Tutul Ramen posted that. If that is accurate, that's insane because I know MLS Cup does not have a big prize pool, but this is a big deal for them. And if they can somehow get through PSG, be even bigger windfall. But even if they don't, like I feel like they might have shown the world, hey, like an MLS team can get through this group that had a UEFA team. The UEFA teams have been a disappointment, I would say, mostly in this tournament so far. And the teams that have been very good have been the South American teams. They've been outstanding. So, I mean, maybe this is the kind of stuff I feel like that can get players overseas to be like, why go to Porto when I can go to Miami and
Colorado.
right?
So
Or like, I can go to an MLS team and maybe play. It is a higher level than I thought it was. They beat Porto, and we know that these teams have to play their best team. Like they're playing their best teams because that's what FIFA wants them to do, and that's part of the prize money and stuff. So I think you could see some players being like, "Oh, you know what? They actually put up a little bit of fight." Even teams like Seattle that finished with 0 points put up fights against like Botafogo, and like they were fighting and grinding. They just couldn't get any points. They had a really tough group, Seattle. So I don't know. Like that might be the thing that can help get this
Jordan,
league a little bit more recognition.
you know the saying, right? You know the saying. Can they do it on a cold, rainy night in Chester, Pennsylvania?
We'll find out. We'll find out. Here's the downside, right?
Chester. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
For all of these teams, MLS teams that are getting in, because of parity, these teams are not going to be. Look, we already see where a lot of teams don't keep getting into the CONCACAF Champions Cup, right? Because of parity. So either don't qualify for it or, right? Like that's how it typically is working out right now. You could get some teams that are always there, like LAFC or like Seattle, who have been in there a lot. So then you have that issue. And then you have the issue right now where MLS teams are not winning that competition. Only Seattle has actually won that competition. They're the only team that actually deserved their way in here. LAFC, they picked as a option, I think, for either coefficient or they took like I forget how they took it, but they did this versus Club America or whatever, face off, see who gets in. LAFC made it in, and then Miami was a host spot. So the next Club World Cup 4 years from now, there may not be an MLS team to kind of wave the flag and say, come to the league, because our teams are getting smashed in these finals lately against the Liga MX teams. So that's the downside, is like when you talk about parity, yes, MLS Cup will always have like not like a lot of back-to-back winners, all that kind of stuff. The downside is those same teams are not always qualifying for the Champions Cup, which means those best teams are not always going to be having a good chance to. Our MLS teams are not having the best chance to win MLS Champions Cup, which means we're not getting those players, those teams, the experience to be able to consistently qualify for the Club World Cup. So that's a downside. Plus side is, if they do decide we host it again in 2029, Miami's definitely getting invited back again. They'll be like, oh, host team, Miami again, because they made it through, and we'll send them through. But just kind of the downside of parity when it comes to these global and continental championships. But it's absolutely a necessity for the American championships. All right, so I guess let's preview these games real quick here. We have games on what is tomorrow? Wednesday. Crap, get this out of here. Hold on. There we go. Little pop-up on my MLS app. Okay, so tomorrow in MLS at 7:30, we have Montreal and Cincinnati, Columbus, Atlanta, New England, Nashville, Toronto Red Bulls. 8:30, we have Chicago, Philly, Dallas, San Jose, Minnesota, Houston, SKC, Charlotte, St. Louis, Orlando. And then 9:30, we have Colorado, LA, Galaxy, and Vancouver, San Diego. So do you have I guess pick a game of the week and shame of the week for Wednesday, and I'll do the weekend ones again, like we did before.
Well, definitely game of the week, because there's not really any other choice. Vancouver and San Diego. Those are two top teams in the Western Conference. That's number 1 and number 2 playing against one another. 10:30, Jordan. That'll be a great game. That's in Vancouver. That will be an electric atmosphere. Those are two really good teams. Vancouver missing their striker, Brian White, so will be interesting to see how they cope without him. But I think that's a good chance for San Diego to maybe make a little bit of a dent.
2 points separate them. 2 points.
Vancouver's got the game in hand, but I still feel like those two are going to be the two teams. I'm just waiting for the epic Loons collapse, and then I think Seattle or LAFC are starting to hunt. So we'll see. It's going to start getting a little tighter up there in the Western Conference, I believe, because here come the big three in Seattle, Portland, and LAFC. They're sneaking around, so it's like, uh-oh. That's like, blood and water kind of thing. So that's my game of the Wednesday lineup. I think, this is these are some really bad games. I guess I'll lean to SKC Charlotte. Charlotte's been very underwhelming lately, and Like, I guess it could have gone Galaxy Colorado, but I don't know. Like, Charlotte's not playing well, and no offense to Sporting, but they've been almost unwatchable this year. Just not a good team, no clear direction. Um, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of goals scored. So, Ajaman's gone. I mean, that team's pretty depleted right now. So, yeah, that'd be
And
my shame of
Charlotte,
the week.
yeah, Charlotte's 25 points. That's ninth place in the East, and
What a fall, man.
Chicago are tied with them on points actually.
Yeah.
So, depending on how they do against the Union, they can rise up there. By the way, just want to mention San Jose Quakes are up for sale. So if you have like 600 million, you can buy them and save that region from the horrors of Fisher, maybe moving them to Vegas as well. Okay. Or Sacramento first and then to Vegas. This Saturday, we have Montreal NYCFC at 7:30, DC Nashville, Miami Atlanta. That's going to get moved.
Yeah.
Miami Atlanta has to get moved, right?
It's already axed on FOTMob. I don't know why it's not.
Oh, it's not axed on MLS site because I'm like, Miami is going to be in the middle of a game.
They got to play both. Split squad, baby.
Yeah, split squad. All right, so just ignore that one. New England, Colorado, Red Bull, New York, Minnesota, Orlando, Cincy, Toronto, Portland. 8:30, we have Chicago, Charlotte, Dallas, San Diego, Houston, St. Louis, SKC, RSL, San Jose, LA Galaxy at 10:30, and Seattle, Austin at 10:30. Those teams should be back, right? So I'm assuming they'll play. For my game of the week, I'm going to go with, I think the best option here is, look, if these teams were good this year, San Jose, LA Galaxy, that's always a good rivalry. But I am going to have to go instead with Orlando, Cincinnati. I think this is a very good game. Cincinnati's in second, Orlando's in fifth. 3 points separate them. This is Orlando's chance to jump into second place with that, right? So that's an opportunity. And my shame of the week, I am going to go with Houston, St. Louis. Houston, St. Louis. Houston is in 11th. St. Louis is in 14th. Houston still has a chance of getting into the playoffs. They're 2 points back, but they've been very disappointing this year. St. Louis has been very disappointing this year. So that's where I'm going to go for shame of the week. All right. Anything that we had missed before we should wrap it up here? Like I said, shorter episode today. No MLS games last week, so we're really only talking about the plus side of the Club World Cup, which is Miami, and then the U.S. men's national team, which we covered, I thought, pretty well.
No, I mean, I'm just kind of doing a quick glance over MLS news, but it's all Club World Cup right now. I mean, obviously, like you said, San Jose. Jordan, I did see where San Jose's baseball deal's falling through. Or not San Jose's.
Oakland?
Vegas is, yeah. Like they're having a disaster of a time trying to get
and that's why apparently they're trying to sell San Jose because they need money is what it sounds like. So, look,
a mess.
I'm rooting for that to fall through and just leave the A's scrambling. That's kind of teach Fisher a lesson, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. If there's anything I know about rich people, they usually get their way. So we'll see how that works out.
And if not, move a team to Baltimore.
The baseball team?
No, well, yeah, just trade them. At this point, they're both awful.
I want the A's. They
just
can keep them
like the Colts in Baltimore.
Okay, so that'll wrap us up here today. Thank you all for watching and listening along. Next week we'll talk the week, the Wednesday and Saturday games. Will any sort of fallout with the men's national team, as they're not playing until Sunday. That's a long delay.
It's a really weird delay. I was confused. Yes.
And then we'll talk any Club World Cup Miami PSG, which will be happening around that same time, I guess. So thank you all once again. We'll catch you next time.